Bro, I've had like one of the longest semesters of my life. Not physically, just emotionally, like it's just been exhausting. To take my mind off it, I decided to walk around the city. A friend and I were talking before, and then I was like, yeah, I want to go to the NGV, National Gallery, Art Gallery. I thought that was pretty cool. I had some time to kill, so I decided to just walk around the city and see and observe. And I thought it was pretty interesting. So there's a certain line of thinking in just general art studies that everything has an intention, that everything is a product of the times that it makes. And then there's also this thing in photography, that photography is the ability to freeze a moment in time. A good example of that is buildings. I think buildings are like photos in that when they're constructed, they don't really degrade over a long period of time. And when they do, they feel like they represent when they were made. So I always find the idea of construction in the city to be really interesting. There's this bridge from the main station to the gallery that I was walking over, and I noticed that it was being built up. So I go down, buy a burger, eat, and I look up and I see something that is blank, a blank canvas. I feel like construction doesn't really look like this. I'm so used to seeing just ads and billboards that I was confused. I mean, it sort of makes sense, right? The only people who'd see this would be passerbys. And what is there to advertise? You know, maybe a building company is like, oh, here's a new project, but still it's dead ad space. So what the thing was hiding, what the construction blank canvas white sheet was hiding, was restoration of the bridge, just general maintenance. But maintenance doesn't really just occur at the top, it's structural. You gotta work from the bottom up, check the foundations, and lo and behold, the foundations are kinda different. A display of Aboriginal, civil rights activists. If you don't know this, Australia used to be a colonial state. I think we still are. I think that's the phrase. In the 1800s, there were the native peoples of these lands, and then the Europeans, came in and just murked everyone. They're like, bang, 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 bang. It's pretty interesting, because for a long time in history, we're taught, Australian people weren't supposed to think about it. There was this whole concept of terra nullius, which is the legal definition saying, yeah, we actually have the right to take over this land. There's so many things wrong with this. Oh, how did they determine they had the right to take over the land? They made a contract. How did the Aboriginal people know to sign the contract? Well, they didn't. It was just a scam deal, and 200 years of fighting for your rights, and then this is how you're honored. And I thought it was pretty poignant. I mean, everything is art, everything's a conscious choice, but it's just very funny that their faces are under a dark alleyway, under a bridge that people probably don't want to walk under. There's literally a big blank white canvas above them, just right above them, and I know it'd be expensive to just put something there, but the construction has been going on for a bit, because why would they set up these walls? These walls show these same beautiful faces over and over again, but no one's gonna see them. It feels like a platitude, an afterthought almost, something to say, yes, we recognize that these people were here, but you're not really engaging in the topic. They're there, but they're not seen in the city skyline. Colonialism is so interesting, because in order for an idea or a concept to survive, it needs to proliferate. And I've been thinking a lot about two-state solutions, how do we create balance? There's so many lines of intergenerational trauma, particularly with the Aboriginal people. Lots of systemic issues, deaths in custody, and yes, we have the language to determine and proliferate their stories now, but so much of the world is colonized. The social media era is so interesting because we can see colonization happening right before our eyes. And it's brutal, the reality is brutal. But it's like, at what point does this form of colonialism become acceptable? Because hypothetically, if there was an event in the Middle East where there was rampant colonialism, I think I understand why a lot of like European nations, you know, Australia, Canada, even though they're not explicitly European, maybe Western, wouldn't want to acknowledge it. Because if they acknowledge that there is a colonial state in the Middle East, how do they reckon with the fact that they are a colonial state? In Australia, we had this thing called like the no vote, which was like, you know, they put like a woke DEI quota in a parliament, and if you don't know, vote no. It was the public sentiment. The party that created that line lost our federal election, but yeah, it's just a very hard sell. I feel like when you benefit from colonialism, like me, you don't know what to do, because when you're in such of like a free and established place, how do you accept that it's wrong? So I went to see national beautiful art that was probably all created in one place and ethically, I don't know, it was fun. There was a little house and I liked it. If you're interested, please subscribe to my channel. I have a very, very big project coming up soon, so be ready for that.